Alright, Shalom, Shalom. It's Brother Yatazadak Hero Israel. Before I get started, I'd like to give honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Today we're going to go into Jonah chapter 2, going into the Hebrew. So Lord willing, you're edified, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. So let's get right into it, right? Now this chapter is more or less a pretty short one, right? But let's look at the header, right? The header is Jonah's prayer, right? Like I said, Jonah isn't necessarily, there isn't a correct breakdown on it, right? We're only making sense of this account, which is divided into 3 chapters, right? Which speaks about the Lord calling Jonah to his ministry, right? Jonah fleeing. Then the like I read in the previous chapter, that the sailors they found out that Jonah was running away from the commands that Yahweh Shah gave to him. Right, so he was cast into the sea. Now this is Jonah's prayer, right? That is the header of this chapter. It's about 10 verses, right? So it's Jonah chapter 2 and verse 1. So it reads, it says, and he provided the Lord a great fish, a fish great, right? Which let's look at that word, Salakia. Verse 1, which says, Salakia 2 verse 1. Let me go to the, because I'm reading out of the Sepharia, right, which is the small hats, right, an app that they have, which they provide, right, this app which comes in handy, right. So it's not the same as a Blue Letter Bible, right, which has I believe I have to go to chapter 1, not verse 1, Salakia, which says, so the Lord prepared a great fish, right? That word is not man, it's manah, right? That is the root, which means to divide. Strong's H 4487.
Strong's H 4487. Manah.
Manah, right? That's on point, right? Good job, Esau, right? And so it says, Waya Manah Yahweh, Dag Gadol, meaning, and he divided the Lord a fish great, as in prepared, right? To swallow up unto Jonah, La Balai, Atha Yawanah. Let's look at that word, Balai, right? Because you have La'ag, meaning a mocker, right? Then you have La'ai, which means throat. Then you have Balai, meaning to swallow up, right? To swallow down, to devour. That's Strong's H1104, right? Balai, right? So that great fish, right? Like it says here in the Blue Letter, right? Great fish, right? Says the same thing, right? So it says a great fish, and he prepared the Lord a fish great to swallow unto Jonah. And it came to pass, Jonah was in the bowels of the fish. Wa Yahaya, Yawana, Ba Ba Maya, uh, Hadag, Shalasha, Yamayim, meaning 3 days and 3 nights. Wa Shalasha, La Yalath. Jonah chapter 2, verse 2. And he prayed Jonah unto the Lord his God from the bowels of the fish. Wayatha Palal, Yawana, Al Yahweh, Allah Hayawa, Ma Ma'aya, Hadagah. Jonah chapter 2 verse 3. And he said, I have called, and basically saying I have cried from distress, from distress which is unto me, to the Lord, right? Because that word tazarah means to be in straits, right? To make narrow, right? So he says, Wa Amar, Kwara Thaya, Ma Tazarah, Laya, Al Yahweh, meaning unto the Lord. And he answered, even I, Waya Aina Naya, from the belly of Sheol, which is Mabatan Sha'awal, which is the grave, right? It also is a you could be in the state of hell, right? Going through affliction, right? Um, he's he said, I cried out, Shawayathayu, because that word Shawai, right? It means to deliver, right? But in a figurative sense, it means to cry out because you're crying for deliverance, right? Um, so he said, you have heard unto my voice, Shemai, Shemaitha, Qualia, and thou hast cast me into the depths of the heart of the sea, which is Watha Shaliak Naya, Ma Tazala, Ba Labab Yamayim, right? Because that word Shalak means to throw, right? Um, just like you read the word Shakal, it means to bereave. The letters are just switched around, right? Tazala, right, means deaths, right? Also, Tazal, the root, let's look at that word. Which that root, Salakia. Ba Tazala, Strong's H4688, meaning into the deep, which is the depths, right? Uh, Another word for depths would be Tazawam, which means an abyss, right? Ma Tazala, a deep place. Just signifies depths, the depth, ocean deep. Right? It says meaning to sink, which is the root word. Select it's the wam. Right. Bugging. Wam. Abyss, right? Means abyss. Matazala meaning death, right? Let's look at that word matazol. Let's look at that tazalol, right? Tazalol meaning to be or grow dark. Sometimes you'll read it as Tazala, or when you read it in the book of Genesis, Tazalam, it means shadow, right, or in the likeness of something, right? But in this case, that root word is Tazalal, meaning to be or grow dark, right? Shade, in the sense of shade, right? You have particular trees that are called so Tazalal, to sink, to be submerged, not necessarily, right? Because that word, there's a word for sink, right? Which is, let's get that, I believe it's tabal. Slovakia, right? Or that means to dip, right? To buy means to sink, right? That's to buy. To ball means to immerse, in the sense of, for example, baptism, right? To ball, or Slovakia, to buy. So that word is to buy. I mean, anyways, I just had it. So let me go back to this though. Right, Tazalol, to sink, submerge, to roast, right? Because Tazalol, the root means to grow dark. Doesn't mean to sink, submerge. That's off. To tingle, to quiver, as in a ringing noise. Tazalol, right? To be, grow dark. Tazalol, shadow, right? Because sometimes, most of the time, the word is gonna be similar, right? You can distinguish by the context, but in the case of Tazalol, it also means to ring. For example, Ma Tazalol would be a bell, because sometimes it's the idea, like it says here, the idea of vibration, to tinkle, to rattle, right? As in to ring, right? Let's see if I can get that real quick. look it up in the blue letter. So a bell. So I got a lot of entries for that. Slovakia. Let's just do this. Alright. Bell. Let's just type that in. Let me go back. Because I don't want all these results popping up. Right, so that word is bell. Right? Nope, that's not it. Pretty sure it's not in Exodus. Ma Tazala, right? A bell, right? Let's look at the blue letter entries. Yeah, one of them it says, Slovakia. Yeah, one it says, bell. The root Tazalal. To tingle as in the ear, a symbol. Slovakia. Tazalal, to roll down, to roll oneself. Which that's just talking about, for example, now that's to roll down, to roll oneself. For example, you have that word bakwak, means to pour out, but it's in the sense that the sound. You got to remember, the Hebrew is a living language, right? So when you pour water out of a bottle, you hear that, right? Which in the case of Tazalol, that's what a bell does. It's tz, tz. I can't make that sound, but ding 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 ding. Right? You have symbols, right? They're gonna sound like, right, that word. Right? There's the what do you call it? The sound waves bouncing off the instrument, right? So that's how you how do you say, that's how you rationalize the fact that it means deaf, and it also means, right, to ring or to rattle, or a bell, right? That's the rationale behind that. And it's a very good rationale if you study the Hatha right? If you know the Torah, the Hebrew, right? If you go into the precepts, right? Not that, right? We don't boast in that, right? Our job is to, right, make the division plain upon tables, but we do go into the Greek, we do go into the Hebrew, right? That's not the end all be all, right, to this thing, but right, it's good to go into these various definitions, right? So it says, so he said, Jonah chapter 2, verse 4, thou hast cast me to the depths of the heart of the sea, and the floods were round about me. All your breakers and your billows were upon me to pass over. Right? Which that word, let's go to Jonah chapter 2. Jonah chapter 2. And where was I? which that word nahar, right, meaning river. In this case, denoting a flood, right? In a figurative sense. So this is why Prophet Jonah said that the floods come past round about me, which would be read as Wanahar Ya Sabab Naya, all your breakers, Kal Mashabar Yaka, and your waves upon me passed over, as in passed over upon me. Wagal Yaka Al Ya Ibar Wa, because that word Gal, the root word is Galal, that's the actual word for roll, right? And it also means, in this case, it's denoting the waves, right? It's not an actual word. It's not the actual word for wave, right? Just to make that clear. So Jonah chapter 2 and verse 5. And I said, thou hast driven me from before your eyes. However, I would again look upon to your holy temple, right? Which would be read as Wa'anya Amarathya Nagarashtaya Managad Yanyaka Aka Asayap, meaning I would again, right? Because that word yasap means to add, right? But it also denotes, right, to again, right? So the Prophet Jonah said, I, meaning I, sayap, I would again look unto, which is that word is nabat, right? So it will read here as Laha Bayat Al Hayakal, unto the temple of your holiness, Quadashka, right? Jonah chapter 2 and verse 6. Which that word is Quatazab. Says to form, to shape. It says to cut, to shape extremity, right? Form, base, right? Quatazab. Just, I believe that word is to hew. Right? Let me look at my notes real quick. Slovakia. Slovakia. It says the base of an item, to cut down to the base, right? So it's denoting the base of a thing, cutting it down to its base, right? Like it says here, 2 Kings 6 and 6, and the man of God said, where fell it? And he showed him the place and he cut down. Let's see. Yep, and it says, and he made it as the base of a tree, right? As in that's just another way to say to cut down, right? And it says, and he threw it there and did swim the iron, right? Basically, he cut the wood at the base, which is basically just a stick, right? Itaza means stick, tree, right? So where you see a branch, right? You hack at it, right? That's the base. Simple as that, right? So it says Quatazab, which is Slovakia. Wait, did I think I skipped a verse. Jonah chapter 2, verse 6. Slovakia. Bugging. So it says Jonah 2 and 6, which reads, let's go to the blue letter, which the blue letter says, Slovakia. It's Strong's H66 1, which is apa, right?
Strong's H661. Afaf. Afaf.
Or so that's a pop, right? Which is similar to sabab, meaning to surround, to encompass, right? So they're cognates, right? Meaning they're similar in definition. So it says, the waters encompassed about me, right? Or I was compassed about by the waters. Apapnaya mayam. Even unto the body, which that word napash means soul or body, right? Denoting a living organism, right? Even unto the body, ad napash, right? It says the depth of it, the abyss, its abyss was round about me, right? The wam ya sabab naya, the reeds have wrapped around my head, right? Sawab is the word for reed. Habash means to wrap around, right? For example, a mitri, right? La ra'ashia, right? So this is the account of the prophet Jonah being swallowed up by, right, the great fish, right? He had reeds wrapped around him, right? Here it says weeds, but, right? Or sea reeds, seaweed, sea reeds, right? Basically, he was in the great fish. Waters were all around about him. He had the right, like it says here, the weeds would wrapped around his head. He was probably choking on it, right? It wasn't it wasn't a good experience, right? It says even unto the soul, right? So he was going through it, right? He probably was so deep in the belly of the great um, fish that he felt his life force leaving him, right? It was nigh unto the grave, right? Which says that's pretty graphic what he is describing, right? He says, "To the base of the mountains I went down, to the earth. Her bars were even upon me forever. La Quatazab Ya Haryam Ya Radathya Ha Rataza Barachya Ba Adya La Iwalam." And it says, and thou hast ascended up from the pit, my life, Lord my God, right? Watha Ilah Ma Shachath, the word Shachath, the root of Shawah, means a pit, right? It also means to meditate, right? Chayaya Yahweh Alahaya. Wow, that's crazy, right? When you think about it, right? Because the Lord, right, provided that great fish, right? He remained in that fish 3 days, 3 nights. Then the prophet Jonah prayed unto the Lord, right? He said, right, he called in the time of distress, right? The Lord answered him, right? Right, he had the floods engulfing, right? He went into the belly, that great fish, right? You can sort of picture it in the sense of a sinking ship, right? The sinking ship is gonna have the floods coming from everywhere, right? He had reeds wrapped around his head, his neck, right? And he thought, meaning he repented, right? He thought, man, right? Which is why he said, verse 5, right? And I said, I have been driven out from before your eyes, right? Meaning the Lord punished him, right? And right, he was kind of having a near-death experience, right? Thinking, will I ever return to see the Holy Temple, right? In the Holy Land, right? Jerusalem, right? Which is Jerusalem, right? So the waters closed in around him, the deep engulfed him. Weeds were wrapped around his head, probably his neck. Right, he sank to the base of the mountains, meaning that great fish, it was huge. Right, he was probably going down the bowels of the fish. Probably took him like two days journey just to get to the end of the base of the belly of the fish. Maybe a day and a half. Right. That's why he said he sunk to the base of the mountains, to the earth. And the Lord brought him up, right, from the pit. Verse 8, Jonah chapter 2, verse 8. Which that word is, that actually means to cover, I top. To cover over, right? Don't let it confuse with with ayat, meaning raven or ravening bird, or raven prey, wild birds. I believe that also means dusk. Let's see. Let's get that real quick. Dusk. Let's just look it up here in the ayat. No, it's not ayat. Might be. Just bear with me. Not hayat. Slovakia. All right. Let's just see if we can look it up here. It was dusk. Genesis Bible Hub. Let's get that real quick. Eilat, Slovakia. So that was my mistake. What's that word? Eilat. Dark. Dusk. Right? I was kind of close. But anyways, right. Jonah chapter 2 and verse 8. The prophet Jonah said, in the covering, right, as in the pining, the fading away upon my soul, right, in the fading away upon my soul, right, unto God I called to mind, right, which is Ba Hatha Itap Aliyah Napashya Atha Yahweh Zakar Thaya, right? So he was near, right, near, basically, he was at the grave's door, right? And it says, and entered unto thee my prayer unto the temple of your holiness. Watha ba'a aliyaka, watha palathya al hayakal kwadashka. Right? And that's crazy, right? So he was his life was fading away, right? Jonah chapter 2 and verse 9. Slovakia. Jonah 2 and 9, which says, which here is verse 8, which says, in the keeping, or Slovakia, those that keep, or those that keep vanity. The word Habal, which is the name of Abel, but it also means vapor, right? Transient, as in, right? Let's get that real quick. transitory, Salakia. Let's get the definition for transitory, meaning not permanent, right? Temporarily. That word habal, it also means vapor. It also denotes vanity, right? So they that keep vanity, vanities to deceive, right? Which is habalia shawa'ah. Shawa'ah meaning to deceive. Says their loving kindness they forsake. Chasadam ya izabwa. Right? Those that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. Right? Which is true. Right? Jonah chapter 2 and verse 9. And I, in the voice of giving thanks, I will sacrifice unto thee, which says, which I have vowed, meaning unto that which I have vowed, wa anya bakwal the water, right? Zabacha laka, I will sacrifice unto thee, Ashar nadar daya, which I have vowed, right? That's the Dar Thaya. Which I have vowed I shall pay. Shalama, right? Salvation is unto the Lord. Yah Shawai Tha La Yahweh, right? That's a good way to end a chapter. Or Salaki, let me get one more verse. Jonah 2 and 11, and he said, the Lord unto the fish, and he vomited unto Jonah to the dry land. Waya Amar Yahweh Ladag Waya Kwa'a Atha Yawana Al Hayabasha. Right, so that's pretty much it. Jonah chapter 2, right, just gives a graphic, vivid account of what Jonah went through, and which was included as part of his prayer. Right, so Lord willing, you ratified this brother Yatazdak, your Israel. As always, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone. Kwam Yasha Allah, about the ball, Shalom.